All right, we're joined on Riding Home, another edition of Riding Home. This time we have a special guest, several guests. The first one's going to be Aaron Murray. Aaron, happy Sunday, getting ready for the holidays and so forth. George is getting ready to take on the Michigan Wolverines, and we have some exciting stuff to talk about beyond that. But let's talk about that game first. What's the challenge for the Dogs coming into this game?
Well, I think just getting the confidence back. I think that it's always a fine line of confidence and cockiness, and you kind of want to border it because you want to walk into the stadium saying, "Hey, we're the best team out here. Like we're going to go out there and wax you." And I feel like Georgia had that mentality all year where they got off the bus and they looked the part. They got the size, they got the speed, they got the strength, they got dudes, and they got the coaching staff on top of that, and they were believing in it, and that's kind of the belief you want. And then all of a sudden you get knocked in the mouth. Do you start questioning, are we the biggest, baddest dude out there, or are we just pretenders? And I don't think they're pretenders. I think most people out there don't believe they're pretenders, but it's a mindset. So I hope they don't think that, hey, we're not as good as maybe we thought we were. It was an off week. We didn't play well on either side of the football. We know what we can do. Let's get back to work. Let's get ready for Michigan, take care of business, and then hopefully get a rematch against Alabama in the national championship. So I think that is the biggest thing they didn't overcome. It's not physicality. It's more right now mental. Can you mentally get over that butt whooping against Alabama and get back to the team that everyone knows you can be?
So you and I actually talked about all of what you just said in the summer, but I want to move forward now. I mean, you were talking about who is how do you get your mind right so that you know you're the best team and therefore you play like you're the best team, etc. This is something that you and I talked about in the beginning of the year, and it seemed like I don't know what happened in that game. They were out 10-0, yada yada. I don't want to continue to look backwards because that game was 2 weeks ago, and fewer than 2 weeks, they're getting ready for Michigan. What does the offense have to do to play better?
Well, I thought the offense played fine, honestly. I mean, the first half was, I think, picture perfect. Continue to stick to the running game. I thought there was a couple times too Stetson probably could have run the football. He decided to throw it, but this is just not an offense that's built to come from behind. Like they do. I've said it for 2 years now. They don't have the guys on the outside to create explosive plays. George Pickens, I think George Pickens is a really good receiver. He's not what Williams is for Alabama. Like he can't turn a 15-yard catch or a 20-yard dig route into a 70-yard touchdown. Like we don't have those guys that can consistently make those plays. We can play ball control. We can run it. We can eat up the clock. We can score, 30 points of 40 points, depending on the opponent. But we're not a team that can go score 40 plus points and come from behind. That's just not the identity of the team. That's not the personnel they have. So I think it continues to be run the football, take care of the football, don't turn it over. But I go back to, if there's four things I had wrong with the football game, it goes defensive line, it goes DBs, it goes lack of playmaking ability on the outside, and then Stetson turning the football over. Everyone wants to point to Stetson's fault. Stetson's the reason why they didn't win the game. And maybe he didn't help them win it, but he didn't lose it either. I think there's a lot of issues that went along where, like I said, this offense is not built to come from behind. They need the defense to perform at a high level, and they got to run the football a little bit more effectively.
All right, so I want to get a couple more bold questions in here before we talk about the exciting stuff that y'all are doing and really innovative stuff that you're doing with Ty Fricks, Keith Marshall, and Trent Fricks. Okay, what y'all when y'all lost to South Carolina in 2012, you had a long stretch before you had to play the Gators, and everyone knew that that game would determine what was going to happen. In that time, you had to deal with Kentucky, which y'all did not play well but managed to win. What what happens at a practice that can get you going after a devastating loss, or what can hold you back during practices in that time?
Well, I think playing a big opponent next always helps you. I mean, we all say it. I mean, if you had a big game next week, the last thing you want to do after losses have a bye week. And I believe in 2012 we did have a bye week the next week. So I mean, you overanalyze, you go watch the film too much, you watch like 4 or 5 times, you keep watching, you're driving yourself crazy. Like, what if I did this right? What if I did this right? So it's this long break is negative in the sense that they've had time to go back and watch the Alabama film, maybe a little bit too much. But the good thing is you're also preparing for the number 2 team in the country in Michigan. So you have to say, okay, we got to put this behind us and get ready to go for the playoffs. So You have to self-evaluate, and I'm sure these coaches do that. But I also think you have to get back to competing in practice. And every time I go watch the Dogs the past couple of years in practice, it is competition, competition, competition. Like you better bring your hard hat every single day to work, or you're gonna get punched in the face. And I think that's a mentality that they have every single day of work of, hey, we got to show up, get ready to get better, get ready to compete. And I think that's going to help them kind of push Alabama behind them and then obviously get ready for this first round against Michigan.
And what's the number one thing they got to be concerned about with the Wolverines?
Physicality, when you watch Michigan, they want to hit you in the mouth. I mean, they are a Big 12 football team, big up front, or excuse me, Big 10 football team. They're big up front on both lines of scrimmage. They want to run the football. I do think their quarterback has improved throughout the season. I'm actually kind of impressed with what he's done. Receivers are okay. And then defensive line, they have obviously the ability to get after the quarterback. They had a guy who was close to win the Heisman. So you got to win the lines of scrimmage against those guys, which I think Georgia can. I kind of if when I talk about Michigan, they're like a poor man's Georgia in my mind. And I'm sorry to offend or piss off Michigan fans, but that's who they are. When I look at Michigan, they are just Georgia, but just not as good as Georgia at the lines of scrimmage. So, I'm confident Georgia can bounce back, win it. I know Michigan's coming in with a lot of confidence right now, but I just think overall Georgia's a little bit bigger. They play the same game, and I just think the athletes are a little bit better here at the University of Georgia.
You never got a chance to monetize what it was to be a quarterback in the SEC. You played at a time with Cam, Johnny Manziel. I mean, you ended your career at Georgia as a leading passer in SEC history in several categories. You were never able to monetize that. You, the Fricks brothers, and Keith Marshall are doing something now. What what are y'all trying to do? Tell me exactly what's going on and how people can invest not just in the dogs, but in artwork, for lack of a better term.
So Ty, who is one of the smartest guys I know, introduced me to this NFT space a few months ago, and I knew about it, but he really approached me with, "Hey, I got this great idea about involving and really building a community," and that's what we want to do. We want to build a community and build the relationships from the fans to current players and obviously us old guys that used to play for the University of Georgia, and then also put some money back into the players of money into the pockets of these current players because that's something we couldn't do. Obviously, you hit it, Dean. Like we did not have the ability to go out there and partner up with the local restaurants or car dealerships or any of that kind of stuff. These kids have that, and I think they're smart enough to be able to go out there, use their name, image, and likeness to put some money in their pockets, but still obviously focus on football. So when Ty brought this idea up to me of these NFTs, he showed me the artwork, which for those who don't know, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, a lot of it they think, okay, it's just digital art, and it
That's
is.
not
But
that's part of it.
that is it is part of it. But what we want to do is really build a utility with it. We want to build a community. We want to be able to one put money into the players' pockets, so 50% of everything we make goes back to the players, which is awesome. And two, we want to build the relationships from the fan base to get to know the players. Like I said, both current and former. Like we just started up a Discord, which is a way to interact through a social channel, and we're already interacting with fans right now, talking about the Michigan game, talking about shoot Jake Fromm. I was talking with some fans today about Jake Fromm and his 2-minute drive there because he took over for the Giants in the football game this afternoon on Sunday. So it's a way for us to interact. It's a way for when we sign current players to interact with fans as well. You'll get memorabilia, create like tailgating events to bring everyone together before a game. So stuff like that to really build a community within the great community that is Georgia football already.
And how does this and just what why are you excited specifically about doing this now? What changes for Georgia and college athletics as a result of y'all doing this, do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is, I'm not a Georgia kid originally. I feel like I'm a Georgia boy now, but, I grew up in Tampa, Florida. My first Georgia game I ever watched was Georgia versus Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl. And then I was like, man, I like Georgia. They're a pretty good team. They got some great coaches, and I love those black jerseys. Let me go check them out. And fell in love with Athens, fell in love with UGA and Coach Rick and Coach Bobo, and really had a great time here. But I never felt like as ingrained in the UGA world, or maybe even fan base, compared to someone who maybe grew up watching Georgia football. Like there's still a lot that I have to learn and understand about the history of Georgia and Georgia football. Like like I said, I never watched a game to really 2000, I believe it was seven, that Sugar Bowl was. So I felt like over the past 8 to 10 years since I've graduated, I've really tried to immerse myself with the state of Georgia, about learning what it means to live in this state, to live in Atlanta, to live in Athens, to go back and forth, to get to know the people, to get to know the fans a little bit better. And obviously, the way Kirby's recruiting, it's not just Georgia players he's recruiting. He's recruiting guys from New Jersey, from Florida, from Texas, from California. And this is a great way for us to, just like myself, get to bridge the gap about what is Georgia football, what's the importance of it, and also get to know the fan base a little bit more. Like the more I interact with the fan base, the better it is, man. The fans are awesome. Like I said, I love talking with them on this Discord channel. I love being out on the
Better
town with them.
now than when you were playing, right?
No, listen, it's different. They're emotional, man, and that's
Oh,
what you
no
love. That's
question.
what you're gonna get
Yeah.
with SEC fans. You're gonna get the passion and the love, and I think the more that you can create a relationship with current and past and former players with the fan base, I think the more exciting it is for everyone, honestly.
All right. Full disclosure, I am not, benefiting from this at all, but y'all need to take a look at the Players Lounge. The link is right down below. If you're watching this, you need to check it out. Aaron, thanks for your time today. We'll see you on the Players Lounge.
See you, man. Thanks, Dean.